Hello and welcome back to a brand new instant reaction. We are here after week 6 of the NFL season. It hasn't ended just yet. We have one more game, Monday Night Football, Jets versus Bills. And I came on this stream repping the Jets, Dels. We better get a dub tomorrow. How you feeling?
Need it, man. Need it bad. If we get the win tomorrow, first place. Everything's looking high and mighty for the Jets. Robert Saleh firing. Looks like it's a genius move by Woody Johnson. You go out and lose, though, season's over. So, lot on the line.
Okay. Season's over. I don't think the season's over if you lose tomorrow, Dels. Today was a decent day of football.
We have the Steelers the week after. I forgot, John.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there to watch us thoroughly whoop your guys' ass on Sunday Night Football. Most likely. We're looking to go. So this was a good week of football. Not too many upsets relative to the last weeks. My team got W's. There's not really nothing to complain about for me on my end today. I do want to say that before we start, because I don't know if we're going to talk about it, prayers up to Aiden Hutchinson, because that was one of the most sad and devastating injuries I've seen in my time as an NFL fan. And something like that just goes beyond football. I mean, it's something that affects, as a fan of the sport, like a player's quality of life. So we're wishing the best for him and really hoping that the injury that he sustained is not the absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's when slow motion camera is the worst, because when you're watching the play live, you have no idea that he just suffered a season-ending injury. And then, of course, when you go and you see every angle, every slow motion video, you see that his leg turns to jelly. This guy was probably the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. This happens while he's getting his first sack of the game as well. And it's unfortunate that it also comes in an ass beating where the Detroit Lions go ahead and handle the Dallas Cowboys. So, of course, prayers out to Aiden. My Broncos also fall. A terrible showing. Terrible in the first half. Fourth quarter, we actually decided to play good football. But, again, John, credit to your Steelers. Handled business. Justin Fields, good performance. Solid performance.
Solid game.
That's all you can ask for. Mm-hmm. And then if the Jets do lose tomorrow night, I agree with you, Mr. Dells. The season's over.
Listen, it's gonna be demoralizing. I'll say that for sure. I don't know if I'm just out just yet if they're 2-4, but hey, listen, I just got this new hoodie, so hopefully it doesn't go to waste. I want to go to one of these games. Mm-hmm. Sunday Night Football next week versus Steelers. I'm thinking about maybe attending that game.
In Pittsburgh?
On the weather. Oh, it's in Pittsburgh. I didn't know that. I thought
it's in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we're gonna get into our Week 6 takeaways, and my takeaway is fairly simple. Every NFC North team won today. The NFC North is the best division in football. Every team has more than 4 wins through the first 6 weeks of the season. And there's a lot of optimism with all these teams right now. The Vikings are on a bye week, so I'm not going to speak on them too much. We know they've been the best team in the NFC. But the Lions just had their best offensive performance. You can argue it last week against Seattle. They kind of handled them as well. Or I think that they were on a bye week this past week, so the week before, whatever the case may be. I mean, they had almost 500 total yards of offense, 47 points, and they were trolling the Cowboys. Did you see how many times they were trying to get their offensive lineman a touchdown for what happened last year? I can only applaud it. I mean, Dan Campbell is petty, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest takeaway this week is Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson's on his way right now to win his 3rd MVP. And I tweeted it out. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I get it. Patrick Mahomes, one game, got to have it. Playoffs, I get all of that. But if we're taking all of the quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson to me is playing by far and away after this performance from Joe Burrow, which was a little shaky, not his best performance that we've seen in the last month or so. Lamar Jackson's just playing on a different level right now. You know, we just talked about how Justin Herbert is in this terrible situation because he has no wide receivers, right? And he has Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator and a running back in J.K. Dobbins who's solid but coming off a torn Achilles and all this stuff. That's what Lamar Jackson's been dealing with basically his entire career. Of course, Zay Flowers is breaking out into like a really solid wide receiver too, I would say, but nothing near a top 10 wide receiver that we would be looking at his weapons room and saying this is one of the stronger units in the league. This is still Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Mark Andrews, who kind of got involved again in Isaiah Likely. This is still a bottom half of the league type of weapons room. And Lamar Jackson, of course, with Derrick Henry, cannot forget Derrick Henry because he has been sensational to this offense. I mean, this is the best rushing offense in all of football. And right now, they're able to do basically whatever they want on offense because whether it's Derrick Henry running the ball or it's Lamar Jackson running the ball, you just have to have so many guys dedicated to try to stop the run that if you're going to leave Zay Flowers one-on-one on the backside, he's going to be able to beat a lot of guys. So that was the game of the week, of course, for me, and a lot of other people have seen Jaden Daniels and Lamar go back-to-back. And Jaden Daniels had an excellent game in his own right, so don't want to take anything away from him there. But Lamar Jackson, the way it's standing right now after week 5 or week 6, looking like the MVP.
My takeaway for NFL week 6 is one that kind of surprised me a little bit because of the difficulty. I think Drake May is the real deal. We saw him come out versus the Texans defense, which has been one of the best in football this year. He leads the Patriots in rushing without Ramondre Stevenson. He posted the most passing yards versus that defense and throws 3 touchdown passes in a game where it wasn't perfect, but the entire night or the entire day, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are getting pressure all game long. He handled all of the same exact things that Jacoby Brissett could not deal with over the first 5 weeks of the season, and showed that even though I'm a rookie quarterback, I have the moxie, the character, and just the physical acumen that many NFL stars and longtime veterans simply lack. And those special traits, I think, is what makes this Patriots offense somewhat interesting. And it brings life to a group where there's some young, talented weapons, but they've always needed a quarterback that can really unlock them. We saw that at that deep shot he hit, and I think for the rest of the season, he's going to continue to show out a little bit like Justin Herbert. I think that was a fair pro comp, and we saw a little bit of that Herbert aspect to him today.
My week 6 takeaways are about the rookies. Every single week, I love talking about these rookies because they go ahead and they show out. First, my guy, Caleb Williams. Last 2 weeks, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, average of 260 passing yards, 2 Ws. He's been playing some excellent football, but against bad competition, the Carolina Panthers, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's finally getting his licks at the worst of the bunch, and he's going out there and performing at a high level. Now, he has a bye week this upcoming week, but then after that comes off the bye against Washington. That's going to be one of the more anticipated games, understanding that the Bears have been playing some pretty amazing football, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you see how uncomfortable they made Trevor Lawrence look today, especially with how awesome he looked versus the Indianapolis Colts. But he struggled overall this entire season. But this defense has been one of the better units. The amount of turnovers that they force also to give the offense some solid field position. And with the way that Caleb was operating today, there was simply nothing that he could do that could go wrong. Everything looked to seem to be hitting. You had him and Keenan Allen getting on the same track. Finally, that was one that we were waiting for. They get into the end zone twice. But, of course, Jaden Daniels going up against the Baltimore Ravens, and we understand that the Baltimore Ravens defense is not that great as of right now. Still going out there on the road and going tit for tat with Lamar Jackson was pretty impressive to me. You didn't have your number one guy in Brian Robinson, although the Baltimore Ravens are the number one rush defense in the National Football League. Jaden Daniels went out there and he made some really tough throws, obviously leading the defense too, where he goes and he's looking off defenders and putting balls where he wants to do just layered throws this early into his career. The precision, the accuracy, the playmaking. He just does everything for you so quickly and so early into his career. I just can't help but be amazed. And the last one, Bo Nix. Not a great performance today. Obviously, I think we turned it around in the fourth quarter when it was a little too late. That being said, we have better days to come. It was an unfortunate loss for my Denver Broncos, and Pat Surtain leaving the game very, very early with a concussion definitely turned this game on its head, where we finally saw Justin Herbert have his signature performance and finally throw for over 200 passing yards.
Now, the Bo Nix point, I just feel like it's going to be hard for the Broncos to win games if they fall down early. As soon as the Chargers built up that lead, you're like, okay, this is going to get pretty ugly if the defense doesn't start forcing some turnovers. To the Caleb Williams point, nothing could go wrong outside of targeting DJ Moore. That's the only thing that went wrong. Every time, the deep pass to him that he threw an interception on, that hurt my heart as a DJ Moore fantasy owner. I desperately needed a great performance. And then he gets stopped at the 1 yard line later in the game. And then Swift steals his touchdown. I don't know what it is. Everybody is playing well right now. Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet. What's going on with DJ Moore?
It's inevitable. He'll get his. But I want to talk about Bo Nix just a little bit more, just for the fact that his playmaking really has surprised me in the best way possible. His ability to move around in the pocket, avoid sacks, although sometimes may look a little dangerous, a good portion of the time that's leading to a positive play. My big issue with the Denver Broncos right now was my big issue coming into the season. We have no skill position players that I trust outside of Cortland Sutton. And even still, obviously, Courtland Sutton struggles to separate a good portion of the time. He had himself probably play of the year as of right now with that one-handed snag, or not one-handed, just full extension, just an amazing play for a touchdown to bring us pretty close to really try and make a comeback. But Bo Nix is trying to go out there with C plus players right now. And I say C plus players because they're in the NFL and they get that respect. That is solely why I say that. But really, the truth of the matter is him and Drake Maye are competing for worst position groups in the National Football League. And it does not help when your guys do not create separation. When you're out there and you are playmaking, Bo Nix was out there playmaking, but I agree with you, Joel. When you have these type of weapons, there is not much that he can do when he's put in that position. And even still, we put up 16 points in that fourth quarter, really trying to make a comeback. I really like what I saw from us. No fighting us, but still losing the game was pretty sad.
Now I have these stats. Sorry, Drew. Sorry, Dels. You could go. I have these stats to share. Just one. Since 2007, 566 quarterbacks have thrown at least 100 passes in their first 6 games of their team's respective seasons. By first downs per pass attempt, Bo Nix' 2024 season is tied for 564th, and Deshaun Watson is 566th. Right now, only 22.2% of Bo Nix's pass attempts are going for a first down.
Not great. Listen, when I heard 577 quarterbacks, it's never like he's ranked 206. You know he's going to be in like the damn near the bottom.
It was 566.
Not great.
It's 566. Deshaun is dead last.
Yeah, no, and we can talk a little bit about that Eagles game maybe, but the Broncos, their best weapon on offense, in my opinion, is Bo Nix's legs. Like the ability for him to scramble is probably number one thing they have going. The last couple of weeks going into this game, Javonte looked good, and it felt like that was maybe something you could build on going forward, but it went back in this game. Again, the Chargers rush defense, or defense in general, has been sensational all season long. Even though the opponents haven't been great, their defense has been amazing. So, you know, it could be opponent-based, but the last couple of weeks, I thought just his vision, his explosiveness through the holes looked a bit better than it did in the first month of the season. So it was a bit disappointing that I didn't see that more today, because if you could get a run game going, we could build something on this offense. But right now, it's just Bo Nix that can really create consistent plays with his legs. I don't really trust anybody in the running back room. And you mentioned it, Drew. It's just Courtland Sutton that you could really trust in that wide receiver room, who made one of the best catches of the year. That touchdown catch in the back of the end zone on the right side was an insane grab. So shout out to him for that. I feel like every single year Courtland Sutton makes at least one catch that's like a top 3 or top 5 catch of the year. The other team I wanted to shout out, you mentioned the Lions already, but just wanted to shout out Jared Goff as well, because the first couple of weeks of the season, Jared Goff was putrid, right? Like we were looking at this team saying the reason why they're losing these games, or the reasons why more than anything the offense isn't clicking, is because of Jared Goff, because he did not look good. He looked like he took a major step back. But these last 2 weeks, really these last 3 weeks, if you go back to that Arizona game, even though statistically it's nice, I feel like the way he played wasn't as great, but he's completing over 70% of his passes. He's over 250 yards per game. We have 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating well over 100. We're talking about in the 120s to 130s. These last 2 games, he has a passer rating above 150. He's been playing at an elite level. And on the other side of it, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to win. I picked the Lions. I think we all picked the Lions in that game. But to go out there and get embarrassed, this was the worst loss for the Cowboys since 2010, and worst home loss since like before Troy Aikman or something, some insane stat. Like this is one of the worst losses in Cowboys franchise history. Jerry Jones said he's not thinking about making a coaching change, which I understand. I don't know if losing by 40 is all on Mike McCarthy. I think there's a few different layers that go into this, but Dallas is showing kind of our fear entering this season, right? It was just, they'll probably win some games in the regular season. They'll hover around 10 wins, but no one's going to take them serious. And Joel, I know you tweeted this out. This goes back to the offseason. This goes back to not picking up key free agents. This goes back to taking it into the season with Dak Prescott's contract, not paying Micah Parsons yet, taking it to the last day to pay CeeDee Lamb, all of these things that they could have got ahead of so you could go into training camp with all of your guys there and really try to build upon your connection from last season. It's spoiling into this season right now. They're sitting here at 3-3. They got a couple tough matchups coming up as well, but the Detroit Lions were able to do whatever they want. They were running for over 5 yards carry. Jared Goff, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was just an ass whooping from Detroit.
Now, John, you mentioned Drake Maye, and he had 3 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions, but I didn't think either of the interceptions were bad interceptions where I'm thinking to myself, that's a terrible decision. The first one, it was just an inaccurate pass. So it wasn't a good throw, but it was the right idea. And right now, first start, you're just looking for if he's thinking the game through. And then the second interception was a screen pass that the lineman tipped up, and then Kalen Bullock made a excellent defensive play and got the interception. So I didn't even think Drake Maye, his interceptions were terrible decisions. The accuracy stuff, I think right now he is a little bit erratic. The ball can get away from him at some points, but you saw throughout the game that he was making some throws that he was missing earlier on. And I think going into London next week against Jacksonville, that defense against an inept offense, if Drake Maye could light a spark in this Patriots offense and get some explosive plays down the field, they could very well win that game. And I wanted to mention this last thing with the NFC North because we talked about the Lions. Drew, you talked about the Bears. The Green Bay Packers are heating up. Jordan Love is heating up. Jordan Love has back-to-back 4-touchdown games at home. He is the only Green Bay Packer to do that since 1995 when Brett Favre did it. Jordan Love is the only player this season to have multiple 4-touchdown games, and he's tied second in the NFL with 12 passing touchdowns, and he's missed 2 games. I'm looking at the Packers offense, and they're clicking. I feel like those drops, we're starting to see fewer of them. The play of the day was the ball that Love threw to Romeo Doubs, where he was just evading pressure, and he just threw it up there, gave his guy a chance. And that one interception, the receiver slipped, so I'm not even going to pin it on Jordan Love that much, but they're heating up, and quietly, they have one of the best secondaries in football as well, with Jair healthy, with McKinney, but Evan Williams, their rookie safety, he's a star, and he had a punch out in this game that was pretty awesome. I'm still disappointed with the Cardinals offense. I don't feel like they've been good. It's unfortunate that Marvin went out with the concussion in this game as well, but Jordan Love as a playmaker was 11 for 17 for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns on dropbacks over 2.5 seconds against Arizona. So he was playmaking at a high rate. He was pressured 12 times and took 0 sacks. He's heating up at the right time, and he's getting healthy.
Yeah, that Packers offense is really one of the most fun to watch because of how much and how many different ways they can beat you, right? You see Jane Reed early in the season, that week 1 game versus the Eagles, and he gets going early today with his touchdown, but it seems like they can beat you with 4 or 5 different guys, and they're not overly relying on one player. Because there were moments in the game where they weren't really using Josh Jacobs as much as they should have been. They're using Emmanuel Wilson, and I think they should be going to Jacobs more often, especially in those short yardage and goal line situations. But I think what we're seeing with this Packers offense is that it's been so complete with how many different young guys they have that they're sharing the wealth. And I think that honestly, with the Packers dropping 34 today, it's kind of a sign of what's to come. You know, at the end of last year, last 8 weeks, we saw Jordan Love having 3 touchdown games and really controlling in the second half of matchups where he's taking care of the ball. So this was a great game for the Packers. But I guess I'll mention one more thing for today's games. Baker Mayfield right now is the most underrated quarterback in football. Right now, he's got 15 touchdown passes, and he's completing 70% of his passes. Now, today, he did have 3 interceptions, and the Buccaneers win, but they dropped 50 points on the Saints defense, which has not looked the same the last 2 weeks. But 2 of Baker's interceptions were tipped. And with the Buccaneers had over 200 rushing yards today. And it seems like, or last year, they really rely on their defense more. They're around 19th in points allowed, or points scored, points for. This year, they're top 10. And we're starting to see everything coming together with Sean Tucker having a monster game in his debut. Obviously, we've seen a lot of different running backs this year really thrive in that backfield. Liam Cohen coming in. And honestly, I think this is the Baker Mayfield we can expect for the rest of the year. He's playing at the level of a top 10 quarterback, arguably, one could say. And if he's not in that conversation, he's definitely right on the bubble of it. So I think he needs a lot more credit because this Buccaneers offense is humming. He is easily one of the main reasons why.
And you can also pair that with the fact that the Buccaneers defense is not good. It has not played well, I should say, especially when you go up 17-0 and then the Saints respond with 20 unanswered. You give credit to Bake and the Buccaneers for staying resilient, staying focused on what the goal was. And Chris Godwin goes out there and has himself an amazing game. A lot of the yardage that we saw from Baker was a lot of Chris Godwin yak too. Can't forget that. Yeah. And also Sean Tucker too for having also a pretty great play after the catch too. It was just a great performance on the offensive side for the Buccaneers. And of course, we automatically point to Baker, and deservedly so. He should get a ton of praise. I even had a tweet about it too. But I agree with that, John, that he did have 3 INTs. 2 of those we really don't look at and put it on him. But this offense was clicking on all cylinders. They were doing a lot. They looked efficient on the ground. And it spoke a lot to, of course, what they're doing, but the Saints and how they have fallen off drastically since the first 2 weeks of the season. And Joel, I'll let you talk about Spencer Rattler, but hey, I think in his debut, I don't think he looked bad at all, truthfully, especially with Chris Olave going down as early as he did. I think Rattler was there. He was a playmaker, and he made some pretty impressive throws.
They can't run the ball.
Nope.
That's the problem with the Saints. And the first 2 wins that they had of the season, they ran the ball at an elite level. And Eric McCoy goes down. He's a major part of that run game. Alvin Kamara now is averaging 3 yards per carry. And Spencer Rattler's out there with only Rashid Shaheed, and Chris Olave's not there outside of the first drive. You know, the first drive is where he got hurt. He had a concussion. I thought Spencer Rattler played fine, and this game was weird because the Bucs had an early lead, and then the Saints came back off a special teams touchdown and defensive turnovers, and then the Bucs completely dominated them, 27 points to 0 points scored in the second half, and ended up dropping 50 on them. The Buccaneers look like the best team in the NFC South, even with all the question marks around them. I think Atlanta, I know that Atlanta beat the Bucs.
Shade at him.
I know that Atlanta beat the Bucs, but come on, the Bucs
shade at him, and
the Bucs had that. The Bucs had that game in the bag, man. I mean,
they did.
But the Falcons had a great game today in their own right too. Both those teams are 4-2, and specifically with the Falcons' run game looking as good as it did today with Bijan and Algier going off. It's a real question who's the best team in the NFC South.
Fool's gold. Don't get excited.
I'm just recognizing they've got 2 stud running backs. And we could see that start to pick up the more and longer Kirk is off with torn Achilles. The more
I have a question for you.
What's up?
I have a question for you. If you had to compare Tyler Allgeier's running style to just any object out there in the world, what would that object be?
All right, let's think about a good simile here. I think Tyler Allgeier runs like a gazelle.
A wrench?
I think he runs like a gazelle. Yeah.
All right.
I got a question for you two. In the Pick a Side Dynasty League, John, I offered you Rashid Shaheed for Brian Robinson. I'm still looking for a response off that. And
I did give you a response.
Dels, I sent you a trade offer at 4 a.m. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
Crazy.
I was up late. I was thinking about how to make my team better. I think I offered Khalil Shakir for Mr. Chase Brown.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. I have to look at my team. I don't know if I need a running back or not. Should we? What about Pick'em? Could you do a quick Pick'em update?
Yeah. So
Mr.
right now,
Dallas, go nuts.
You guys,
FanDuel was hitting today. You could.
So you guys fucked up on Pick'em, of course, because it's not totally accurate right now.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
What do you mean?
Dels is at 58 wins on Sleeper, but is that 57 really?
Facts. It's
Yes.
one less.
That's
for
from
everyone.
way back in the day.
Except you and I.
57 wins. John is at 56 wins, really 55. Drew's at 53 wins. Riv's at 51, and I'm at 49 right now.
49's nuts. 49's crazy.
I think, the
You're
Broncos
playing a different game than us, brother.
I played around my upside picks.
I'm only competing with myself. 9-4 on the week.
Oh my god!
I had a good week.
Brother, you're not competing with yourself when there's 4 other people in this race. You're competing with the others too.
No, I know, but I'm only competing with myself in terms of last week. I had a bad week. This week I had a better week. So it's all about stacking those good weeks, and eventually I'm gonna catch up. But I can only worry about myself. I can only worry about my shot and if it goes in. I can't worry about your shots.
Dels, I'll say this: you were amazing this week because I think the worst performance was 9 wins this week. I think you've just missed Tennessee as of right now.
Yeah,
that's
true.
one.
That's literally the only loss you have.
Tennessee almost. We're not going to talk about that game because there's really no implications from it. But goddamn, I said it when we did our picks. I've gotten Tennessee's pick wrong every single time. Hence the fact they're like fucking 1-5 right now. I cannot seem to get them right. But yeah, they could have won that game easily.
I'm the first half pick 'em winner. In the first half, things look great. The Saints are up on the Bucs. I'm like, man, this is gonna look genius.
Right.
Just 30 more minutes, please. The same thing happened week 1.
20 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. So, Ed, do we have any more week 6 takeaways?
I want to have a takeaway from my Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Drew, there have been a lot of different times in the past. You should have started running back Najee Harris, right?
He's mid.
I don't think he sucks. He blows.
No, he is ass. Yeah, great run today. Great game today. But
8 yards per carry. He had angry runs with power. He had elusive runs. He dropped a defender on his back with that little juke.
It's the Raiders.
And he had one of the best runs of the season, too.
It's the Raiders.
Najee Harris gets his first score of the year, and 8 yards a carry is 8 yards a carry, Drew. Actually, 7.6, but, I'm rounding up here.
First rushing touchdown of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 6 is pretty
I
insane.
think
For Najee, I know Justin Fields has like 3 or 4 right now,
He's
but for the running back position, and Jaylen Warren was back as well. Jaylen Warren should steal this job so easily once he's 100% healthy and can take like 15 plus touches a game, because Najee Harris had a great game today. All the credit to Najee Harris. He's terrible though. Like, he's not a good running back right now. Tyron Tracy's better than him, and it's not close.
Easy.
Like, it's not close.
Tyron Tracy's
It's
playing really well. That's all I got to say on that note. But
it looks like the Eagles could use a running back like Tyron Tracy based off what happened today with Saquon.
Yeah, the Eagles did not look good in this game. We don't have Riv here, so maybe we should wait until Tuesday's episode. But yeah, the Eagles are scaring me. This team does not look good.
Oh yeah, main takeaway of the day. The Commanders are the best team in the NFC East. It's pretty easy, actually.
I'm not gonna lie,
it's super calm. Their offense is by far the best in their division. The defense, honestly, all of them are so bad outside of the Giants. The Giants are the best defense. There is a legit argument that you could group the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Commanders together. And honestly, I don't care which one you pick as the best or the worst. They're kind of all in that same tier. But the Commanders' offense clears so much that I'm more than comfortable to say the Commanders are the best the best team in the NFC East. The Philadelphia, I know we want to wait for Riv. I'm sorry. Okay. The Philadelphia Eagles, this was an embarrassing win. It was an embarrassing win. You did not look good. It took you too long to really get your offense in motion. Second half, things started to finally click. Drew up some nice plays. That play to Smitty. Obviously, that insane catch by A.J. Brown was unbelievable. That's just A.J. Brown being A.J. Brown. But Jesus Christ, why does it take so long for you to go out there and have offensive output, especially against the Cleveland Browns? The Commanders make things look so easy, and maybe that's on me because I've loved and enjoyed, like the rest of the football community, enjoying watching the Commanders play football because the offense comes so easy to them. But Lord have mercy, especially against the Cleveland Browns, where the Commanders really did whatever they wanted. To watch what the Eagles had to go through and how much they struggled, it really shows the difference in level between the two teams right now.
Did you see Nick Sirianni and how he was yelling at fans, Eagles fans?
He's so stupid. He's so dumb, bro. Like, you're already not liked in the city of Philadelphia. I don't know a single Eagles fan that actually likes Nick Sirianni. I don't know anybody actually who likes Nick Sirianni, Eagles fan or not. His, rise to fame came really quick because they went to the Super Bowl very early in his Eagles tenure, as River would say. But he's been terrible these last couple of years, right? Like, Shane Steichen, of course, when you had him and you had these Jonathan Gannon, you had these great coordinators, he was getting love because you're the head of the snake there. But we've seen the coordinators go, and it's like, no, you just had smart people around you. You yourself isn't that smart, right? Like, even though I think Kellen Moore is a huge upgrade over Brian Johnson, if you are this CEO style of head coach, which you're propped up to be similar to a Dan Campbell over there in Detroit, you have to have something about you. You have to have some sort of confidence or culture or something that you bring to the table. Nick Sirianni doesn't bring anything except being just an asshole. Like, he fits in with the city of Philadelphia for that because they're all kind of just assholes, but he doesn't bring anything to the football team from a culture or schematic standpoint. I don't know what he's really there for. Like, they should feel so lucky right now that they're sitting at 3-2 because there's a couple games that could have gone the other way. And even in this game, like, the Cleveland Browns to me are a bottom 5 team in the NFL, and bottom 5 might be nice. They might even be lower than that because this offense is arguably the worst offense in football right now. Like, if you told me Patriots offense with Drake May, Browns offense with Sean Watson, I'll see what I have with Drake May. That's how abysmal this offense is. And the fact that Kevin Stefanski keeps going back to Sean is another conversation that we can have. But Nick Sirianni, I mean, the Eagles are going to win games because I still think this offense is really talented. They'll hover similar to the Cowboys, probably around that 10-win mark. But it's really hard to look at them and be like, they're contenders in the NFC. They can make an NFC championship game. They can make a Super Bowl run. If they do, I don't know how they do it. I mean, Saquon, AJ, and this Hurts in this offense have to go God mode because I don't trust this defense. I know they held Deshaun to 16 points. You hold Deshaun to 16 points, that's like an average quarterback to 24 in my opinion.
Yeah.
So this is really not a good football team. And the head coach who's at the top of it, as you mentioned, Joel, why are you fighting with fans? You have you have to win these football games, and you're arguing with your own fans. It was embarrassing, and I'm not even an Eagles fan. Obviously, I like Jalen Hurts, but I got like secondhand embarrassment from seeing that clip.
I don't even think that Kellen Moore has been good.
No.
I follow an account on Instagram, Real Talk MJ. He's an Eagles fan, die hard. I know him from TikTok and stuff. He creates content, and he posted this post that this is the first time in Eagles franchise history they didn't score in the first quarter. Now, the Eagles franchise goes a long way, so I don't know how accurate that stat is, but if it is, I think it just shows to how dysfunctional this offense looks, even with the amount of offensive talent that it has on it. You know, I'm not high on the Eagles. I wasn't high on them coming into the season. And right now it looks like the Cowboys and the Eagles both are kind of plummeting, and we're looking at the Commanders as a team that rose. Last takeaway I had, a team saved their season today. The Cincinnati Bengals beat New York Football Giants on Sunday Night Football, baby. And the Bengals defense came to play. That's number one. Shout out to them. But also, I saw a step that was taken from Joe Burrow, because I look at some of their close losses against KC. You could blame the defense, but Joe Burrow fumbled and it led to a touchdown. You look at the game versus the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow throws an interception in a must-have drive. Marlon Humphrey is draped all over Jamar Chase. In this game, third down conversion, third and long, you got to have it. He rolls to the left and throws a dot across his body for the first down. And that pretty much iced the game. But in Bengals fashion, the very next play, Chase Brown fumbles and the Giants almost scooped it up, but it went out of bounds. I mean, things right now, the Bengals are just very unlucky, but if they didn't win this game, their season was over, and they kept their season alive, and the road gets easier. Their schedule's very easy. So if they can keep stacking these wins, that's all that matters. Coming into week 6, the Bengals had a better point differential than the Houston Texans. Yet the Texans are 4-1 and the Bengals are 1-4. It speaks to how close these losses have actually been for the Bengals. And if a couple things go their way, things could be different. And this game, things went their way more so than in the past.
Absolutely. That was a much needed win because it could have easily been a disaster with that Chase Brown fumble. Now, I want to add one thing before you mentioned the the Nick Sirianni point. The stat was the Eagles have yet to score a single point in the first quarter this year through 5 games. And that streak has only continued after today's game. There's no one that does more. There's no one that does less with more than what Philadelphia has. And we look back 2 years ago when they did have Shane Steichen. They're getting the absolute most out of their personnel. So it's really just been a total 180 the last 2 years. And yeah, I mean, I think right now Nick Sirianni is a bottom 3 coach in the NFL. And that's only been evident with the offensive infrastructure, the inability to get a lot of their weapons going like Saquon. And they're 3-2, but realistically against that Brown team, to let them into that game for as long as they were, it's quite clear to me right now. It's the Commanders, it's the Cowboys, the Eagles, maybe the third best team in that division. And with
Cowboys suck, John.
I mean, they do suck, and I still think they're a better team. They're a better coach team than the Eagles, and that's the point here. I think Dallas would be number 2, and Philly's number 3, and they're not that much better than the Giants.
I'll be honest, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip.
I would rather have the Cowboys personally. That's saying
Cowboys have gotten smoked by. They've let 40 points be put on their head. What two times?
Mm-hmm.
This is coming out of a bye too for the Eagles. This game was off a bye. Like, I know you got all your guys back, so the offense is kind of weird, right? Like not first time, but you get AJ and Smitty back. But you're coming out of a bye week. Like, this is the number one thing when I look at coaching. I'm looking at after your Thursday game, how do you look on that following Sunday or Monday? Hence the New York Jets having a Thursday game, losing to the Broncos on 10 days. That to me is coaching. And then coming out of a bye, there should be no excuse. Like, of course, talent's going to win out, right? So, like, if the Chiefs are playing against the Patriots and the Patriots have a bye, I'm not expecting them to win, right? But if you have equal or similar talent, in the Eagles' case, I think you are definitely more talented than this Browns team, especially when you look on the offensive side at quarterback, and it looks this ugly, 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, 10-10 at the end of halftime. To me, that comes back to coaching. I know the injuries. I know everything. You can't get Saquon going. You have an extra week to prepare for the opponent, and you can't get anything going still. It's a really bad look for them.
Now we have 5 super chats. Santos, Dells is 1 win away from a perfect week.
Well, I don't know if he's saying I got one pick wrong.
Yes.
But I don't know if he's
That's
saying
what I'm
like
doing.
one away, like because we have tomorrow.
Friola33 goes, I'm done. Let's tank. Ashton Genty, you're a cowboy.
That would be a very Cowboys pick. Jerry Jones, I can
Uber
100%
Cowboys pick.
see taking Genty.
Broncos. Although Luther Burden, you're coming home.
You know what's crazy is that on Saturday, I placed a bet that I never placed before. I placed Ashton Genty alternate 200-plus rushing yards.
He got that.
He got it. His line was like 186, and I was like, I'm going to just go 200.
He's crazy, bro.
The line is plus money. I'm going, and he got it.
I don't know why he's not getting enough hype. Like Genty is getting hype. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know why the hype is not on Saquon, CMC, Bijan Robinson level. I don't know if it's because he's at Boise State. Even
Because
still,
he's
he is
smaller.
backpacking.
Boise State's produced
He's
some running backs.
backpacking this team. Like they're a top 25 team in the nation right now. He should be getting hype as like a top 10 draft pick.
Justin Murray goes, Bucks #1 in strength of schedule, 4-2 on most points in the league, and defense is healthier. Time to put the league on notice Monday versus the Ravens and stamp our Super Bowl run.
If the Bucks go to the Super Bowl, Justin, send me your Venmo.
Sean Courtney goes, Packers win and the Dodgers beat that ass. Suck it, Dels. Picked up my new Husky today, and now we get a late night pod.
Hey.
Just a great day.
This dude's living life.
So what, the Mets faced the Dodgers today?
And
Got
they
smoked.
got bent over and spanked like little kids.
Wow.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Hey, win tomorrow. All's good in my book.
Jay Wash goes, Najee, mother effing Harris. He's back and about to help my Steelers win a division. Hashtag Jets ain't ready.
What is back for Najee? Is that like rookie year Najee? Like that was the only time he was good.
That's the Najee who last year posted back-to-back 100-yard games and the season, the one who routinely at the end of the year is one of the best running backs.
Back-to-back 100-yard games. That's the 2-game sample size. That's
Well,
what we're aiming for right now.
He was uber productive. And
John,
and
where
this
was he
AFC
last
North-
week?
What's up?
Last week against one of the worst rush defenses in football. Where was he?
I'll talk about it. I mean, to be fair to Najee, he gets all of this hate, and some of it is warranted. There are games, and there's weeks, and there's moments where he does have really poor plays. But what's overlooked beyond just the box score is how poor the run blocking has been at times and how terrible the utilization of Najee's skill set has been. Because in this outside zone scheme for Arthur Smith, it is not Najee's play style, yet they routinely use him at the top of the NFL in outside zone runs. And therefore, we've become one of the most stale and predictable running games because we're not using Najee nearly enough between the tackles where he's at his best. And then we have games like today where, okay, he's breaking out these outside zone runs and it's a great week. But the reason why he's so inconsistent and inefficient oftentimes is because they're not utilizing him where he's best. And also, a lot of the time with how stacked the boxes are and how obvious it is the Steelers are going to run the ball on first down, he has zero room to make any wiggle room with line of scrimmage. He is getting met in the backfield consistently. And that's not being put on the offensive line or the coaching nearly enough. So it is a team thing. Today, he was getting really pissed at reporters because the last couple of weeks, they were giving him some questions, which he kind of took personally. And today, he had an amazing day. So I think he gets too much hate. He's a really solid player.
So Santos goes, the pick'em graphic is wrong, and it's not. Dell's picked the Titans in the pick'em graphic. That's the pick that he got wrong.
It's
The only
fine.
person
I
that
don't
got it
know if
right
I
was
was more than
Riv.
I was going to
Shocker.
mention that Riv hit a home run with the Colts pick and then absolutely dookied the mattress by picking Dallas to beat the Lions.
Yeah.
Was that his only miss of the week?
Who?
No, we had a couple.
Riv.
But that was one that we were all like, really? Dallas? We're like, for sure.
So he
about
picked the
that?
Broncos.
He
picked the
hates the
Giants.
Lions.
He picked the Cowboys. Yeah. No, he got 3 wrong this week.
Yeah, I'm 9-4. You're 9-4. Dell's is what?
12-1, I think.
12-1. Yeah, something dumb.
I got like 10 dubs in the day.
Yeah, John, you're
10-3.
cooking.
I mean, I took 2 dumb picks. I tried.
Arizona
get
was
cute.
pretty terrible.
I tried to get cute. I tried to find an upset, and I'm
You
not.
know
I
what?
didn't hate the
can't say
Seattle
that.
pick. The Seattle pick on Thursday, I saw that. I was like, I don't hate that. That they almost,
I tried.
that game.
They had
I
a
really
chance.
did try.
I'm
They
talking
did.
like
I mean, that's what bothers me when you pick the upset and they've got an opportunity to win and they just blow it. The idea was there and the execution.
that's kind of how I feel tonight with the Giants.
Mhm.
Fucking Greg Joseph's
Exactly.
terrible.
Yep.
Daniel Jones is a first read merchant. It's killing me.
How about that interception? Nice read.
Well, he was trying to obviously get the ball out. He got hit.
It's tough. It's a tough decision.
It was a bad. Yeah, it was a great.
Can we ask one more thing? I saw this in a recent TikTok comment section. They're asking how your arm is, Drew. And one person, Bhagwandi, commented specifically, bro got mauled by a wild animal.
Yeah, it does look-
I mean, it looks a lot better
a lot
than
better.
it did. I've been putting Vaseline on it. Like, you know what? Let me not finish that sentence.
Man.
But it looks great. It feels
That's
good. Thank God.
Steady
I
fingers.
picked up another injury today. Softball's not for the weak-minded. I'm not gonna lie. That shit beats me the hell up. But my arm's okay. I messed it up on a fence. I caught it. I tried to go and catch a ball, and my arm got caught instead. But we're okay.
John.
Thank you for checking out.
I see Jack in the comment section. Daniel Jones or Justin Fields?
Oh, that's a good question. Give me Justin Fields. Honestly, there's so many things with Fields that do bother me. I think he needs to get rid of the ball way sooner. And he does take some sacks that every Bear fan saw it for 3 years, and we're seeing it now. But when nothing is there and the Steelers' passing game has been pretty anemic, Justin Fields' legs are our best weapon. That's what you said before.
Sounds
Bo
like
Nix.
Daniel Jones, but
Yeah, but in the red zone, he's been automatic this year.
he's
It's
a dog.
a true advantage. And even though our run game has been wildly inconsistent, I just think he's the better
bad.
version of Daniel Jones. And also, he's only got one interception this year, an interception percentage below 1%. He's got 10 total touchdowns. This is somebody who's completing 67% of his
How
passes
many
coming
picks
today.
does Daniel Jones have?
He's not
2?
throwing for a whole lot of passing yards, but once we sort of take the training wheels off, once George Pickens catches a football consistently, that'll really help too. That's been irking me last few
Let me
weeks.
ask you something, John.
What's up?
How
with you?
come you use total touchdowns but not turnovers or fumbles lost or fumbles in
He
He does
general?
have a handful of
He has
fumbles.
4
but
fumbles.
That's been a issue at the center a lot of the time too. So I'm not
Okay.
going to put all the fumbles.
That
on
was
him.
one time, John. It was
Yeah.
one time.
He does
I
have a
mean-
league-leading 5 fumbles going into
How many
this
have
week.
lost? It's
Yeah, I
under
think
5.
he only lost I don't
Two.
think he's lost more than
I'm
2
not
of
going to
them.
count the ones that we've recovered into the turnovers, of course.
But
I
he still
think he's
fumbled
lost,
the ball.
He's lost like 2 or 3 at least. Dallas, can you confirm that, or am I going to confirm it right now?
I'm looking, brother.
Because I'm just saying it's like what 5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and 1
Mhm.
interception, right?
Yep.
So if
And
you
then-
count the rushing, I feel like you should count the fumbles. Isn't
I
that
agree.
fair?
No, absolutely. I'll be honest. I just didn't know the total number of
10 to
fumbles.
1.
To be fair, I'm not going to give a
Perfect.
stat. I don't know the exact information to. He's got 2 fumbles lost because he recovered 3, which
He recovered 3 of his own fumbles. That's kind of elite. I'm not going to lie.
yeah,
I
not too
respect
bad.
that.
We're
So it's got 3
praising
turnovers
getting
and
your
10 total
fumble back.
TDs. So give me Justin
Hey,
Fields over
keep your
Daniel
head in the
Jones.
game.
And that's going to do it for our Week 6 instant recap reaction. We are going to be doing a full episode on Tuesday, probably a mixture of football and basketball because basketball season, preseason is underway, and the season is coming shortly, so our predictions are going to be out soon. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.